Greetings, I'm Dr. Ketsia Sadler, founder of College Cafe, and your moderator for the College Planning with NAAHP webinar series. The National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals and College Cafe welcome you to 2024. Hope it has been a great start for you, and we're looking forward to being part of your college planning, search, and everything that goes along with it. So today you'll have the opportunity to view some of the webinars from 2023's series. If you weren't able to join us, or if you joined and had to leave the broadcast earlier, here's your chance to watch them again. We had some amazing topics. We first talked about the college visit with Miss Vanessa Devericks from Montclair State University, and we had Dr. Gaetan Jean-Marie from Rowan University. And then we talked about running to pay for college, looking at all you athletes in the track and field realm. And so we had Coach John Prescott, Coach Cherie Ware-Powell, who's an award-winning coach at Felician University, and also Miss Michelle Neal. Then we moved on to a topic that's really interesting for parents, the actual parents' involvement in the college application process, and parents have to understand. We had two moms who went through the process with their children. The first mom is Philippa Sutherland, and our other parent is Miss Shanta Campbell, and their children are doing well at Drew University and Hampton University. And finally, we ended this year with looking at careers in music in the key of life. And our guests on that episode were Miss Jasmine Young from the Howard University, Dr. Gary Hollander, band director from Dwight Morrow High School in Englewood, New Jersey, and we had Armand David Sadler, hip-hop reporter for Vibe magazine. So if you missed any of these episodes, we hope you will join us. Grab your popcorn, your favorite drink, and get ready to learn some things in order to fulfill your dreams of whatever your career choice will be. We look forward to working with you in 2024. Take care. Bye-bye.
I'm so proud to be Haitian because just everything about being Haitian is just awesome.
You know, everyone know about the history of Haiti, first Black independent country in 1804.
Understanding the history of Haiti, Haitian people, you can't help but be proud of the accomplishment that have happened.
Haitian Americans have done really well in the past few years. There's still a lot more work to be done. Only about 20% of us actually have a bachelor's degree.
I understand firsthand some of the challenges that Haitian American students, graduates, and professionals have faced.
Some of them have overcome incredible adversity.
Both immigrated or asylum seekers or refugees.
There are not that many Haitian-focused scholarships, but like any other award, the NAAHP Leadership Award is providing recognition for one's hard work.
As we know, college is expensive, so this scholarship fund provides the chance for a brighter future.
It felt like the universe was speaking, like I needed the money, I was intrigued, people were telling me to apply.
Going to college or graduate school can be very, very expensive. So donating to a scholarship like this would help that expense be more manageable.
Future generation of leaders, scholars, entrepreneurs,
young adults that are trying to make something of their lives.
They are rock stars. They just need the help, and they need us to help them accomplish it.
There's like this Haitian proverb that says, "Meon picha palu," many hands make the load lighter.
Log in and you can donate $10, $25, $50.
It makes me think of the Malcolm X quote that education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. It makes me happy to know that our organization is contributing to that goal, preparing others for the future.
Hello, greetings and welcome to College Planning with the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. I'm Dr. Ketsia Sadler, your moderator for this webinar series, and I'm excited to be back with you all in 2023 to bring you some more informational webinars to help students make their college application process a little bit easier, to help you think about careers that you may want to venture into, and of course, talking about everything related to that process. So we're very excited to have you. Tonight, our topic is on the appeal letter. But before I start, we want to first thank the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals, who is our major sponsor, partner. And in addition, we have Parent Matters, Golden V, and of course, College Cafe. So we're real excited that we're here this evening with you all. And tonight we have a topic that is very important to all the high school seniors right now. First of all, congratulations to all of you who have gotten your acceptances, whether you applied to one school and was accepted, or whether you applied to 30 schools and got accepted to all of them and are trying to figure out where to go. We applaud you because it's been really difficult these last 3 years dealing with COVID, the application process, the whole high school experience has changed because you were at home trying to study, trying to do applications, virtual tours, virtual interviews, test optional, not schools that wanted test scores. So we know that it has been a challenge, but you made it. And so tonight we're going to help you, especially those who are trying to figure out how to get more money for that education at the school where you'd like to attend. So I'm very excited to have Mr. Jorge Sousa III this evening, who hails from St. Augustine University. And so Mr. Sousa is the Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management and Student Success at St. Augustine's, which is in Raleigh, North Carolina. He's a native of Panama City, Panama, and a graduate of Fort Knox High School in Fort Knox, Kentucky. Following graduation, he immediately enrolled at Kentucky State University, where he completed a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration and a Master of Arts in Public Administration and International Development. He's currently pursuing his doctoral degree in developmental education at Grambling State University, Louisiana. Throughout the last 20 plus years working in higher education, he's worked in various positions in enrollment management and institutional advancement and development in Kentucky, Georgia, North Carolina, and Louisiana. So I don't want to say a whole lot more about you, Mr. Sousa. I think we're going to talk about it as we go through the process. So my first question, which is not part of the questions we initially discussed, but how do you come from Panama and end up in Kentucky for college? Let's start with that first.
Well, good evening to everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to be with you tonight. And thank you to the NAAHP for this platform. Well, to be honest with you, like many migrants, the opportunity for advancement. Father is from Panama, mother's from Panama. Father made a decision to get into the United States military. So that, you can imagine, was a process for him to get citizenship and join the U.S. military. And several years later, I had the opportunity to come to the United States. And of all places, I moved to Kentucky and stayed in school there and went to college after I graduated and have not looked back since.
Okay. All right. I know that's similar to my story in that I'm from Haiti and my parents came to this country and we lived in New Jersey and they were not about that commuter life. So I went to school across the Hudson River in Manhattan. So yes, this country is great for opportunities for immigrants if you want the education. And these days we're finding that there are even more opportunities for us if you want to do it. So thank you again for coming. And I'm thankful to the NAAHP for connecting us, because had I not gone to the conference in November, I wouldn't have met you. So I'm thankful for them to make that connection and expand my territory as I try to do my work with College Cafe, helping students realize their dreams and do it affordably.
Absolutely.
So let's start with St. Augustine. Let's talk about some of the highlights that would make St. Augustine a good fit for some students. What would you want a student to hear about and make them say, okay, I have to go visit or I have to enroll at that university?
Absolutely. I'd love to tell you about it. Well, St. Augustine's University is 165 years old. We are the second oldest HBCU in the South. So our university itself is in the city of Raleigh. The city of Raleigh is ranked in the top 10 places to live in the United States consecutively, probably for the last 10 years in Forbes. And this is considered a research triangle park. So we're the equivalent of Simi Valley on the West Coast, right here on the East Coast. So in the research triangle park, you have a lot of pharmaceutical companies, nanotechnology companies, a lot of universities. So it's a trending city. It is continuously growing, and great opportunity for young graduates, young families starting off. So we're centered in a great place. As you know, the state of North Carolina has the most HBCU in the United States outside of the state of Alabama. So we're positioned in a place where education is a great opportunity for those seeking that opportunity. At St. Augustine's University, small student-teacher ratio. So on average, classroom size is 12-1. So on average, you're not in a classroom size with more than 25 students and not less than 12 students. So there's a lot of one-on-one attention from professor to student, to where they know our students' learning styles. They know how to best encourage them. They know when they're weak and have deficiencies in certain areas. But when we look at our academic programs, our programs of excellence are in math and science in our STEM field. We do exceptionally well with students who have strong backgrounds in mathematics and sciences, giving them opportunities as early as their freshman year to begin internships. Our School of Business is nationally accredited with all 8 programs within it, where students can feel confident in knowing that once they graduate from our university, not only is their degree recognized, but that degree has been vetted by the National Association of Business and Colleges. So we have a lot of great things here, but I'll just tell you some really fun facts about the university. We're affiliated with the Episcopal Church. There's only 3 HBCU in the United States that are affiliated with the Episcopal Church. And by that, we know that students who come from that faith, they receive scholarship money to come to our university as well. So they're eligible for that. We're the first HBCU to have an all-Black cycling team, second HBCU to have an all-women's road crew. And we have a national championship track and field team with over 39 national championships in track and field, which is amongst the most winningest program in the United States. So all of this at a little school in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're around now for 167 years. And here in the city of Raleigh, there's another school that is a little older than us, which is the first and oldest HBCU in the South, which is our rival competitor school, Shaw University. So right here in the city of Raleigh, you have 2 HBCUs that are private schools. And the reason I mention them is that similar in size, gives students a great opportunity. But as private colleges are oftentimes looking at how do we change the diversity of our campus, we're always looking at international students. International students come with a wealth of experience. They're accelerated in some of their academic areas, such as math and sciences. So your question would be, well, why would an international student, how could they fit here? And the reason that we know this to be true is we have some exemplary students who've gone here, graduated, and are doing exceptionally well in today's workforce.
Well, that is definitely a lot of interesting information. And one of the last things you said that piqued my interest was the track information, because I know a few people whose children are beginning with track, doing whether it's AAU. So I would definitely want to let them know about that. But at the beginning, you talked about the STEM degrees. And one thing I've realized lately is that the HBCUs are about 27% from what I read of African Americans who get STEM degrees are coming from HBCUs. So for the students listening who are thinking about careers in those areas, St. Augustine would be a good place to look at. So yes, definitely.
Absolutely. So yes, great opportunities. And I would tell you what helps us a great deal is that we take students, we have a saying that we don't make admissions decisions. We don't make bad admissions decisions. They're intentional. We take students where they're at and we develop them. It is our job as HBCUs to be institutions that nurture our students, that we pour into them, and that we help them develop to become better citizens and productive. So we know when they leave this institution, they're just as competitive as any other student going into the workforce. And at times, some of the difficulties that they may have had in their life, when they come to college, they're able to receive assistance, they're able to build networks, and we're able to influence them to want to achieve more.
Okay, and I think that's very important, all that you just said, because students want to know that they fit in, they want to know that they have support, and that's important because if you go and don't have it or don't know how to reach out for it, then you're not going to make it through your education.
Correct.
4 years.
So thank you for sharing that. So I wanted to talk about the one program that piqued my interest when I went to the conference was the program that you had regarding Haitian students.
Yes. So we have our university in 2020 signed an articulation agreement with NAAHP where our university would offer 4 full ride scholarships to Haitian students identified by NAAHP. And a full ride at our university will cover the students' room, board, books, and their tuition costs, to where that student would essentially pay $0 to attend our university. That's our full presidential scholarship, which is in excess of almost $28,000 a year for a student to attend our university. And the requirement for that particular scholarship for students coming in is that a student have a 3.8 GPA. So it's a high achieving scholarship. However, we know that with a high achieving scholarship, you get commitment of a highly talented student who has their mind set on their goals, what they want to accomplish, and come in with a strong academic interest and success. So this year we are looking to award that scholarship by way of NAAHP helping us identify those students who are eligible to receive those scholarships. And for clarity, this is open to all students, whether they are a U.S. resident or non-resident. So oftentimes we know that scholarships are limited because they require residency. However, this is a great scholarship opportunity for any student that's listening that might be interested in St. Augustine's University and is a high academic achievement student.
Thank you for sharing that, because again, a lot of students don't realize what opportunities are available to them, and especially those who are not American citizens or whatever, sometimes feel like there aren't ways for them to get funding for them to go to school. So I just wanted to make sure that we spoke about that so that people know. So let's switch gears and start talking about the college application process. So now we've sent out acceptances and we've got some students who were placed on wait lists. What options do students have if they got waitlisted at their choice school? Is there anything they can do to come off the wait list?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, for our students listening, the wait list is not oftentimes a bad thing. It does give students the opportunity to possibly look at other schools with a little more intent. We oftentimes know that students have that one school that they really want to go to, and they put all their eggs in that one basket. And guess what? There's another 100,000 seniors out there who are also doing the same thing. So the best way to look at it is like a funnel. It starts heavy at the top and narrows down. And in this particular case, if a student wants to look at how they can either impress or get a better response, the one thing that typically does help is that student, the follow-up. If you're placed on a wait list, that does not mean that you should stop all communications with that university. Universities want to see the character in those students. So a simple email following up with them, letting them know that I understand I've been waitlisted. However, I'm still seriously interested. Please find my most recent high school transcript that will show my grades at the end of my first semester of my senior year. I think that's one thing that's critically important. Oftentimes, we know that students, their senior year, August, September, October, they're shopping around that high school transcript. They're going to college fairs, they're giving it to recruiters, they're mailing it in, they're being admitted with just the grades they earn all the way through their junior year. So they're turning in that high school transcript with just 6 semesters of grades. But at the end of their first semester of their senior year, which is your 7th semester, students can resubmit that transcript in to be reviewed again. However, keep in mind that you, along with 100,000 plus seniors, are doing the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So what makes you a more attractive candidate? Well, not only should you submit your documents electronically, but still writing a letter, goes a long way. And I'm not talking about typing an email. I'm talking about mailing a letter handwritten. I know students no longer do cursive handwriting, but it's impressive to receive a letter in the mail with a stamp from a student who's been admitted to your university that has taken the time out to pen a letter and send it to the Office of Admissions, letting us know their serious interest. That makes you stand out right away, because if you're taking time out to write a letter to express your serious interest in coming to my university, despite being notified that you've been placed on the wait list, I, as a senior administrator, I'm gonna take time out to review your record because you did that. It's not a guarantee, but your application looks a little more interesting because you've taken time out to do this. Another thing also is exams. If you've taken the ACT or SAT, retake. I oftentimes hear people say, oh, it's not a good idea to retake the ACT or SAT more than once. And depending on the institutions, they may not necessarily follow that process. Smaller institutions were always looking to award scholarships. When that scholarship pot is empty, there's no longer any scholarship awards that we can offer. However, once again, when you're in competition with a larger group of students, if you can increase your test scores, that makes you a more viable candidate as well. So more selective schools have a cutoff deadline. This is when it's due. There is no way around that. That's black and white. Other institutions may extend deadlines. However, that's not something that's typically advertised. You may see it online, but you're not going to get a call from someone say, hey, we extended it. But persistence goes a long way. They might think that they are infringing or bugging someone, but I think it would be a favorable decision upon someone to continue to reach out. If this is where you really want to go to school, to let them know that, hey, I increased my GPA, I increased my test scores. Now, another thing that sometimes, depending on the institution, more selective institutions do it, is character reference letters. Believe it or not, the best way to find out a particular candidate is looking at those letters of recommendation. Don't wait till the last minute to go get a letter of recommendation. Going into your senior year, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody wants a letter of recommendation. I would encourage students as early as their junior year, start talking to your professors, members in your community, because everyone's going to go to their college counselor for a letter. I would say one of the people or individuals that you should avoid, in my opinion, would be athletics, because an athletic coach can only speak about your character in reference to athletics and how you perform. Unless that athletic director is your biology teacher who can speak to your ability in the classroom, athletic coaches oftentimes are able to give a character reference of someone's determination, someone's enthusiasm, but they don't speak necessarily to their ability in the classroom and speak about the academic ability. So that's a good way to kind of start beginning your college processes. Who's going to write a letter of recommendation for you? And oftentimes we forget about churches. If we attend church, they are going to give the most honest letter about a student's character. And those things help. And what you want to do oftentimes, which is very impressive, is put a portfolio together. Mail that in. We send everything in electronically. Some schools are willing to accept electronic. Some schools still accept paper. So if you're able to put together a portfolio, send your portfolio in with all these things. And it looks impressive as a candidate who is a high school student who's sending in a portfolio to get admitted as a college freshman.
Awesome. Thank you. I think you gave some definite gems and information for these students, because I know it gets very stressful when you get waitlisted at one of your choice schools, and now the decision is, okay, what do I do? How do I get in? So I hope our students are taking notes on what they need to do in order to make themselves a more attractive candidate to be accepted off of the wait list. So now let's move to the students who've gotten accepted. They got into their dream school or one or two. And let's talk about the financial aid award package. Let's first talk about the basic parts of the package before we talk about appealing it.
Okay, no problem. So, and I'll speak of this from both aspects. As an international student and as a domestic student, because they as you know, they vary very differently. So an American or a domestic student who's been admitted to the university, I strongly encourage every student and parent, regardless if you make more money than, and you know you're not going to receive any financial aid, believe it or not, there's still grant aid that is available to these students. So oftentimes we hear that from parents, well, I'm not going to receive any funding, but the institutions have institutional funding that student may be eligible for. So a lot of money gets left on the table because parents refuse to fill out the FAFSA. I'm not going to get any money. I'm not taking out any loans, but it does help us be able to assess our student body when we're able to see that, okay, we have some parents who are capable, who can afford to pay. However, there might be something institutional wise that we can offer them, as opposed of them having to take out a Parent Plus loan, or the student having to take out a sub loan or a unsub loan. So that, I'll tell you, that's very true because we deal with it quite a bit. But in that financial aid process, once they've been admitted to the university, they submit their FAFSA, we're able to review and see how much money these students are eligible for, whether it's federal work study from the federal program, or institutions have their own institutional funds that they can offer students for work study. And that's where I say that sometimes parents will say they make more and they're not going to be eligible for anything, but yet students may be eligible for institutional work study because after we award all our students, we sometimes still have funds available. And rather than going to the next fiscal year carrying that fund, those funds, we would like to award them. And this varies by institution. So what may be applicable at my institution may not be the same case at another. Now, based off that, we also know those students, based on their academic eligibility, what type of scholarships they can receive. So we're able to contact our admissions department, get test scores and GPAs for these students, and make scholarship offers to them. If students receive scholarship offers to an institution and they accept that scholarship, and later on that choice school contacts them and says, hey, you've been admitted, however, you're not eligible for a scholarship, that's a tough decision, because it's now, do I go to the school I really wanted to go to with no scholarship money? Or do I go to another institution that wasn't my first choice, but offered me a scholarship? And believe it or not, we hear it quite a bit and see it. Students will leave the money on the table and go to their top choice school. Some can afford to do it. We understand that. However, we also know that if you commit to a scholarship at an institution, you're not binded by that contract. It's not like athletics where you need a letter from us to say we're going to release you. There's a commitment that you made that you wanted to go to school, you accepted a scholarship, and the only thing that you may lose out on may be your enrollment fee, saying that you had an intent to come. And sometimes that could vary depending on the institution. But if you accept a scholarship at a university and decide not to go, it's not a binding contract that's going to keep you from going. Now, on the other side, for our international students, scholarship funding or scholarship assistance or assistance financial is limited at times. Therefore, we oftentimes see scholarship applicants who are international, who are your top tier students. And those students are actively applying to institutions. They're looking for full ride scholarships, and they're doing this as early as August, September, October to be able to get their names in the hat first. They're submitting these test scores, and believe it or not, we see our international students taking ACT and SAT exams as early as their sophomore year, because by their junior year, they're applying to universities to get an early decision. And that early decision puts them at the top of the radar of those directors of admissions saying, hey, we have a candidate who is top-notch, international. What type of monies do we have available? So we see that quite a bit with our international student population, which fares well because we're able to offer those scholarship dollars to both international students and domestic students. As a private institution, our costs in-state and out-of-state internationally is the same. So it's one rate for all our students. So being able to receive a full ride scholarship makes a huge difference. At our institution, we're reviewing students not only with our institutional funds, but also external scholarship dollars that they're eligible for. So we do a very good job in reviewing the scholarships that are available, not only for our domestic students, but our international students, so they can be just have the same opportunities to finance their education.
Well, I know I definitely, when I do my workshops, webinars with College Cafe, always tell parents, first of all, regardless as to how much money you think you make or what you will not receive, always fill out FAFSA, always fill out CSS if it's required for that school. Let the school tell you no. Let them tell you that you do not qualify for anything. Because on the flip side, they might offer you $1,000 or two or more. And then the part of that is with my younger son, especially, who graduated from Cornell University. I remember his either his sophomore or junior year, we got an email from financial aid saying that they had changed, or there was a change to his package, whatever. And I started getting nervous, saying, what happened? Are they taking funding away? But they actually had awarded him, I believe it was like either $1,000 or $1,500. So like you said, they probably had funding that needed to get used up. They had all our financial aid information, and they were able to award it to him, which was quite helpful with our out of pocket. So we were thankful for that. And so the piece that you mentioned that students may not realize is that here in the US, you're not just competing with domestic students, you've got the international ones. And I did not realize that they start that early with sending out applications. Because when you think about it, you hear a deadline of November 1st for early decision, but there's no deadline as to how early you can send in that application.
Right.
So that's another thing for students to keep in mind, with our upcoming students who are juniors listening to the webinar right now, that some people are sending in their applications way before the deadlines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things every college does, and I'll say it like this, everybody receives credit card offers at their home. We get them all the time. And the best way that I describe to students how the admissions process works is that we buy student names. It's not a secret. When a student takes the ACT or SAT, I can go by that student's name. I can look for a Black male, Black female who lives in northern part of the United States that has a GPA ranging from a 3.3 to a 4.0, that may have between a 19 to a 22 on the ACT. And I can buy as many of them as I want. And then I can send them information to their homes, and they've never heard about my school. Same way we receive credit card offers, because they're able to look our information up and send us information. So that's the one thing that I know that many of our students oftentimes don't understand, is that it's a marketing game for all of us. We want to get in front of your screens on your phones. We want to get inside your mailbox. We want to get in your DMs. We want to get in your Twitter account, Instagram, whatever it is. But this is how we learn about those students. And once those students take the ACT and SATs, even the pre-ACT, we learn about them and they learn about us.
I did not know there was a pre-ACT, just like I guess the PSAT.
Correct.
Didn't know. So who's taking that one? This is kind of an aside point, but related. So how do you take that? Because most students are taking the PSAT as juniors and even as sophomores. So who's telling students to take that pre-ACT?
Well, and it varies by region. So here in this area, it's heavy SAT. In the South where I was at, in one particular area, they did ACTs. So now a lot of those, like you said, they're doing away with them. Now it's more focused on just go ahead and take the SAT. But that was that preparation for those students to kind of become aware and familiar with what is out there for the actual exam that they have to take. But now more and more they're getting away from it, and they're actually encouraging students to go ahead and take the actual exam. So that's where we do hear oftentimes students say, well, I don't want to continue to take it, because it does show how many times you take the exam, but it also shows how you're improving.
Mm-hmm. Right. And especially with the SAT, with the option to submit, or how they stack the scores, you're taking the top one from each part to give you a score. That's quite helpful.
Correct.
But when you mentioned the buying of names, I know that definitely happened to my younger son, because he did pretty okay. I don't remember exact scores on the PSAT, and all of a sudden we were flooded with information. And with Cornell, the Bergen County Alumni Association invited him up to visit the school. He was set that he was going to attend Syracuse, where his brother had attended, but Cornell offered him the opportunity to go up there and visit overnight, and he fell in love with it and scored enough and did well in it, and sent an application in early as well. We didn't do early decision, but all of his applications, like his brothers, were submitted by the middle of November. So I always say that getting it in early was probably what prompted him to get that acceptance to Cornell that year, because on paper he was definitely a strong African-American male student. Mm-hmm. So I always encourage students, be early with the applications. Definitely be early. Okay, so we've talked about the financial aid award letter. Students have gotten their award. And so now what happens if your dream school is not giving you enough money? How can you appeal that process? What is the process to appeal the package?
Okay, so depending on the institutions, in some institutions, they'll do their first round of awarding based on what the EFC, that expected family contribution on the FAFSA, states that they're eligible for. They're going to do their first round of awarding, and they're going to award all students. If a student feels as though that this scholarship award or this awarding fund or the amount of money they've received is not sufficient, I would definitely encourage the parent to be a part of this. Many times our students are doing this alone, and our minority students especially are going through this process on their own, and they're not as well as informed. They may have their high school guidance counselor or high school college counselor assisting them with the process, but universities are not going to speak to that college counselor about a family's financial position for aid a student may be receiving. I can tell you for our school, we review our students' awards again in the summer. So with the FAFSA, it opens up in October. It opened up October 1, and students could begin submitting their FAFSA to the institutions that they're interested in enrolling in. Once the university begins processing those student financial aid applications and giving awards to those students, we're going to award every student who's applied to the university and has been admitted. If that student feels as though they had not, or the parent feels as though they have not received adequate funding, in our particular case, we always are willing to sit down and speak with that parent to see perhaps what they may also be eligible for. Many times we know the word the parents hate to hear is a Parent Plus loan, but it is an opportunity to receive additional funding. But also, we also learn that there are parents who are alums of the institution, they're alumni. The alumni organizations do have funds available for active alums that can help reduce the cost significantly of students. I'll give you, for example, our institution, active alumni members receive $8,945 off their students' tuition. So that's a nice piece of change for a parent who may have not been active with the organization, but now that they've sat down and spoken with the university, find out about this opportunity. Another thing that our institution also does is we work very closely with our Office of Institutional Advancement and Development. There's a lot of external foundations that help support scholarship costs at the universities. And sometimes we're able to sit down and have the conversation with parents and students, and we find out that perhaps there's matching contributions from their organizations that can help scholarships at our institution. So I think, if it's not the answer, if it's not the amount of funding that they're looking or would like to receive, sometimes give them a call or stopping in and meeting with that financial aid counselor representative can be a better opportunity to find out what other additional options are available. I know as a parent myself of a son in college, I'm always trying to find out how can I find some money. College is not cheap, but I did find that the opportunity to speak with a financial aid counselor gave me a better insight as to additional funding that sometimes is not advertised. And it's the person that calls in that's a little inquisitive, that's asking about other opportunities that may be available, that oftentimes gets a little more information than just what's on black and white on paper.
Yes, I definitely always encourage people to make phone calls because sometimes you get more information and have that more personal touch. But sometimes some people talk about how the schools are just not cooperative. No one answers the phone. They don't get responses to emails. So that gets a little frustrating. What would you say to that if someone said, they're not responding to me? What do I do?
I would say everybody has a supervisor. And believe it or not, this is not exclusive to any particular institution where sometimes you don't get someone to answer that call. And it's very frustrating and it shows poor customer service. I'll tell you that we're no exception. Universities deal with a large volume of calls on a day-to-day basis. But I would say do the following. I would always say start off with an email. I would email the general department first. Everybody has a financial aid at whatever, or ours would be financial aid at St. Augustine's University. That goes to every member on that team. I would then go ahead and follow up and go to the university's webpage and find out who the director of that department is and send them a direct email. That director has a supervisor, and that supervisor has a supervisor as well. Because at this point, if you're not getting a response via email and you have been unsuccessful in making telephone calls, I'd hate to say it, but the associate vice presidents for every division have direct contact to the president. And nobody ever wants to get a call from the president's office in regards to them not answering the telephone. Now, that's the extreme. However, I promise you'll get a call back.
Mm-hmm. That chain of command definitely works. So what about in the situation of appealing? So your number 2 choice school gives you a better package than your number 1 school. How would you suggest they handle that situation?
To be honest with you, in this particular situation, a letter. That is very important. You have to acknowledge that you're grateful for receiving that scholarship. However, at this time, you have made another decision that you feel is a better fit for you. And it is only fair because here's what happens. Universities allocate scholarship dollars to so many other students. We were just speaking about, well, what if you don't get a favorable decision on your package? Well, if student A received a scholarship to attend a university and they decide they don't want to come, they don't tell us. Well, that money's still allocated to that particular student. It's only fair that you notify this institution that you are no longer interested in attending. Therefore, those funds can be released and redistributed to other students. So writing a letter to the Office of Financial Aid and Admissions, letting them know that you don't plan on attending, does open up that opportunity for other students to receive funding. And also is a favorable look on that student should you ever decide that you want to come back or you want to attend that university at some other point in time. You already have an application on file. We have your documents, and we have a letter showing that you had an intent on coming. However, an opportunity became available for you.
Okay, that is definitely good information, because I know that happens a lot. People will get their better package from number 2 school and they want to go to another institution. So I know that question comes up a lot. So I wanted to make sure that we covered it. So what happens in the case of you sent in the appeal letter, but it's not successful? The school is not giving you, they haven't increased your package. What advice do we have for students in that situation?
Well, now it's time to come on campus. I think that's going to be the next option. I mean, you've emailed and you've called and you haven't been successful. Now it's time to take a trip. At this point in time, the student has already made that decision that they want to come. They perhaps have already toured the campus. They have spoken to someone there. Now their heart is set on going here, but they're not getting a favorable response. Going on campus and bringing your documents with you oftentimes gives you a better response because now you're in person. You cannot avoid answering the phone. You cannot avoid answering my email. and you have to treat me while I'm there in front of you and give me a favorable response. You may get the same information, but just like I said earlier, scholarship dollars do become available after sometimes graduations. I know it varies by state. In North Carolina, our students are graduating in June. Up north, they may graduate in May, but they may be holding on to scholarship dollars that have been awarded to them. However, other offers are made to them, and they may decide to relinquish that scholarship offer and go elsewhere. So going in, sitting down with them, asking them, hey, have any students declined or rescinded their scholarship offers that I may be eligible for? And especially if you have a good GPA and test scores, we want those type of students. So we will find money. A university that wants a quality student will speak with their Office of Development and Alumni Affairs. Sometimes the department majors have scholarship funding. So going on campus sometimes offers a better opportunity to find different opportunities available.
Okay, I think that was a question someone had in the chat, so I'm glad we went to it, because I think people sometimes don't realize that the college visit is so important. Actually coming on campus, even after you've done the visits when you were touring the schools, is so much more important because you get more information. Now you're an accepted student, so it makes a lot more sense to come now when you're saying, okay, this is the place that I want to attend. So I think we've covered all the questions that we had with the appeal process. Do you have any more information, Mr. Sousa, that you'd like to share with our students, parents?
Yeah, I would say for parents especially, I think that the one thing that we have seen because of the pandemic, if I can paint this picture for any student who is about to go to college this upcoming year, if we think about that particular student, that student has spent 2 years online and has spent 2 years in the classroom. The previous class that started this fall spent 2 years online and 1 year in the classroom. And we've heard it from several places that online learning was not a great experience for our students. I would definitely encourage any student who has the opportunity to go to college on campus to take classes face-to-face. The delivery method is far more engaging. Student and professors have a great interaction because COVID has shown us a lot. It made us prepare. It has us here speaking virtually from different states where oftentimes we'd have had to resort to doing this face-to-face. This opens up a great opportunity for parents nationwide and internationally to log in and hear conversations like this. But for the parents, the face-to-face is important. That conversation with a university administrator face-to-face is far more effective than an email or a telephone call, because the sincerity of a one-on-one conversation opens up an opportunity for maybe additional opportunities that perhaps would not be received via email or a telephone call.
Okay, thank you for that information. So there's a question asking if you should include your current transcript with your appeal letter.
Yes, that's not a bad idea, because what you want to keep in mind is that if you submitted your transcript in August, September, October, November, it only had your grades up to the end of your junior year. If your high school does provide transcripts at the end of your midterm, it'll show how you're faring. That's a good indicator for the admissions department to be able to kind of look at where you're currently at. And some admissions department can kind of determine where that student will finish up at. We can kind of gauge if this student is on track to increase their GPA, or if that student is going to stagnate, or if that GPA may drop. So yes, to answer that question, it does give you a better opportunity to update your academic profile in the admissions department.
Okay. But what if the student, let's say they decided to take 1 or 2 AP courses, but the grades aren't looking as good as they'd like them to be? Would that work against them?
To be honest with you, depending on the institution. More selective institutions may review that a little differently. Well, we use my university, for example. When students are submitting into us their AP scores or the AP test scores, we're taking a look at the transcript and we're seeing the trajectory this student is on. If they've been an AP student all 4 years of high school, we know that this student is going to finish off their year, perhaps passing all of their classes, because we've seen what the track record has been. Mm-hmm. However, this is where those those letters from high school guidance counselors, professors, they can speak to that. AP professor who is writing your reference letter can say that this is an update to the previous reference letter that I made for Jane, and Jane has been dealing with such and such, and kind of gives us a little more insight. That's a plus for us because we know now that this professor has a vested interest in this particular student. And when the admissions counselor or director receives that, and we're looking at this student who could potentially be in our honors program, and for whatever reason, whatever the setback is at that time, that character reference letter paints a better picture for us to where we won't be so judgmental based on what we're looking at.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to go back to the point you were making regarding alumni parents with mm-hmm. schools. So I guess that goes to say that provided you had a good experience at your school, that you should remain active. So, and I guess that runs the gamut of whether you're still contributing funding to the school or sitting on some type of board. So, but how do you stay active as an alum if you living in New Jersey, but you went to school in California, besides donating money?
Well, every university has some form of alumni involvement. You can participate as an alum in recruitment opportunities. Our universities recruit nationwide and internationally. So, for example, if they attended school in California, now they're living in Washington, D.C., New Jersey, somewhere up north, reach out to your Office of Alumni Affairs. Let them know that you're interested in giving back. And this is how you can give back. You work in an area high school, you would like to attend a college fair. Universities will be more than happy to send materials out to those alums to set up a table and have their university present in an area that they may not actively be recruiting in. Another way also is many universities have telethons. So they're actively doing telecounseling is what we call it. And they'll send you a list of students from that region that you can reach out to, you can talk to, you can help them learn more about that university. You can use your own personal experience as a student at that institution. What made you choose that institution? And oftentimes hearing it from someone who attended that university can have a far better impact on the student than someone who did not or who's not from that area. Also, now when we talk about money, employers oftentimes have matching programs where the employee contributes to a certain fund and that organization contributes to certain organizations. That's another way. So alums can find out if there's such a matching program at their place of employment, and they can designate the funds to go to their particular university. And I would say another particular way is wear your paraphernalia. Mm-hmm. It makes a big difference to be all the way on the East Coast and you attended school on the West Coast for someone to see a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, a license plate, a bumper sticker to say that this is where I went to school at. Marketing comes in all forms and aspects, so you can be active as an alum in many ways.
Well, thanks for sharing that piece. I did that for a bit for my alma mater, Barnard. Attended different college fairs in the area or helped with interviews as well. So that was definitely a good way of helping out with the admissions process at the school. So any other parting words or nuggets of information that we did not discuss yet with our families on the appeal process, financial aid, anything that comes to mind?
For international students and even students here in the U.S. who are non-residents, don't give up on the dream. There are universities out here that are looking for students like you. You can receive scholarship dollars. And I oftentimes have this argument with individuals who think that non-resident students should not receive scholarship dollars. I think if you've put the work in, you're eligible and you should get scholarship dollars. If one university tells you no, try another one. But there is an opportunity for students out there who are non-residents to receive scholarship dollars. And those students who have an athletic ability, your athletic ability can also help fund your university education. So use what you have to get what you need.
Right. So the athletes should be looking at the ncaa.org website to get funding. Okay.
Absolutely. And making sure that they are eligible to play coming in as a student. I've seen cases recently where we have students who've gone to college and just to find out that they're not eligible to participate because they didn't have enough credits.
Wow.
So that's a bad look.
Very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Very disappointing. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Sousa, for spending this time with me to share with our families. Like I said, I know there are a few people who are at that point where they're trying to figure out, where am I sending my child? Because I do not have, let's say, $60,000 per year, so $240,000 just sitting waiting to pay for an education. So hopefully all the parents got information that they can share with their student and make it a family affair. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you to the NAAHP for being our lead partner in this program, and to Golden V and Parent Matters and College Cafe as well. And just a reminder that there is a scholarship application out for the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals. If you go onto the website, high school seniors, you can find it. And there it is, the Haitian American Leadership Award. So make sure that you either scan the QR code or go onto the website to find that application. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Sousa, and have a great night. We will see you on the next webinar. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.